we should distinguish between Kant's contribution to the epistemology of space and time from Kant's own view about the metaphysics of space and time. I wouldn't buy into Kant's idealism, but I think that there is still a kernel of truth in his account of how we come to know the world as spatio-temporal.
We need to be very careful about which kind of time we're talking about, whether we're talking about the time of ordinary experience, which has a distinguished present moment, a sense of flow and a difference between the past and future, or whether we're talking about time in the physicist's sense, which doesn't have any of those things.
I would say that space, to the extent you can talk about it meaningfully, is the order of coexisting facts.
Well, welcome to this afternoon's session, Time, Space and Being. We tend to think of space and time as the core structure of the universe, and it feels on a visceral level very straightforward. Yet Einstein argued that space and time are the modes by which we think, not the conditions in which we live. And it's not just scientists who've queried this. Philosophers such as Kant and Heidegger argued that space and time were the framework of our thought rather than the character of the world. So what are space and time? And could it be that space and time are a form of human fantasy? So with me to discuss this question, we've got a panel that is ideally suited to addressing such a profound issue. Michaela Massimi is a philosopher and senior lecturer at the University of Edinburgh. She would describe herself as a Kantian, and no doubt she'll provide a bigger picture of that for you today. Michaela is the co-editor-in-chief of the British Journal for the Philosophy of Science. Hugh Price is the philosopher and Bernard Russell Professor at Cambridge. His many books include Facts and the Function of Truth, and Hugh is also one of the founders of the Centre for the Study of Existential Risk. That's the investigation of threats to the existence of humankind. And Julian Barber is a theoretical physicist, and remarkably, Julian has made new contributions to cosmology and to general relativity as an independent researcher. He's also author of a book called The End of Time, which you'll appreciate is entirely relevant to today's debate. So I'm going to give each of them just 4 minutes to address the question, are space and time the structure of the universe, and or a framework of human thought? And then we'll have the debate in the usual fashion. So let us kick off straight away with Michaela.
The question of whether space and time are structure of our universe or not is, as you say, one of the most profound and difficult questions in the history of philosophy. St. Augustine used to say, what is time? If someone asks me, I know the answer, but if I try to explain what it is, then I don't know anymore the answer. And we can say the same about space. In a way, space is all around us, we move in space, we point at directions in space. It's the gap between my foot and the platform or when I board on a train. But if I have to try to give an explanation of what space is, I find myself exactly in the same position. Going back in the history of philosophy, some of the most prominent minds try to give answer to these questions. So back in the 1715, the German philosopher Leibniz sent a letter to the Princess of Wales accusing Newton of spreading atheism in England for defending a specific view about space and time as absolute space and time, as some empty container that exists and would exist even if